Cafe Networking podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Boyton Beach, Florida, Natalie Fayman, a mental fitness, positive intelligence coach. She teaches stressed out professionals how to stop dreading their jobs. So Natalie, how can I lower my stress?
Well, Tom, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really an honor to be here. And as far as stress, it's not a simple answer, but I think one of the most impactful things that any of us can do to reduce our stress level is to actually pay attention to the monologue that runs inside our heads 24/7. So as humans, we have something around 60,000 thoughts per day. Most of them are about ourselves or something related to ourselves. And up to 85% of them can be negative. So when you think about it, that is thousands and thousands of daily repetitions of, I'm not good enough. No one's interested in what I have to say. I'm an imposter. All of the negative things that we say to ourselves. And for many of us, this has been decades or our entire life. Mm-hmm. And so we think that this voice isn't really something that affects us on a daily basis, but it actually creates a huge amount of subconscious feelings of guilt, shame, stress, and resentment. And it also very much impacts the way that we interact with other people, what kind of treatment we're willing to put up with from other people, whether those are business relationships or personal relationships. And it also has a huge impact on what we do or don't dare to reach for when it comes to our goals and dreams.
Well, it's an unbelievable 60,000. So during the course of the day, and obviously you talked about relationships in a business environment. We're dealing with different people during the day. It could be subordinates, it could be superiors, it could be clients, whatever. So every time we're dealing with somebody, that's something else. That's energizing more things to think about and maybe more negative content.
Absolutely. And something I learned from a medical perspective, I'm a veterinarian, by the way, for the last 33 years of my life. We experience negative emotions as a result of hormones and neurochemicals, brain chemicals that create those feelings. Those chemicals only last in your body for about 90 seconds and then they're gone. And so if we are still marinating in those negative feelings, frustration, resentment, stress, whatever it is, it's because of the narrative that's running in our head that is perpetuating those emotions. And so we actually, even though we don't feel like we have any control over where we're being blown in that emotional tornado, if we get to a place where we can start to focus our thoughts and think more intentionally in a more empowering way, we actually do have a lot of control over our emotional state on a daily basis.
Well, in a corporate scenario today, there's just so much conflict. There just seems to be so much negativism.
Yes.
And, that's coming from all levels. So what are companies doing to try to alleviate that pressure? Because they're also part of it.
Yes, well, you're exactly right. The culture and the atmosphere of the corporation is created from the top down. And so we see a lot of situations where the leaders of a corporation, they want to at least appear to be doing something to support the mental wellness of their employees. So they set up these programs where people have access to counseling or possibly even coaching, but they don't take the leadership role of actually experiencing that for themselves. So it's like, you guys, you go fix yourselves. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing over here.
So and I'm not part of the problem. They're saying
exactly. Exactly. And we are all part of the problem, because when you get down to it, the only thing that we really have control over is the version of ourselves that we bring into any dynamic, whether that's a conflict, whether that is a harmonious, empowering workplace environment, a personal relationship. We cannot control other people, but other people are really taking a lot of their triggers from what they are perceiving from us. So even when we don't realize it, we may be contributing to the building of tension and conflict in the workplace just because of the energy that we bring into it. So it really has to start with everybody, starting with themselves, to bring the best version of themselves into every interaction that they have every day.
I'm looking at your site and I see there for work teams, you have a number of points there. One of them is the shared vision. And back to
Yes.
leadership. If the leadership can't purvey the shared vision, if each department has its own idea of what it's about, then you're really generating more and not less conflict. So it's not, it's it's walking the talk, right?
Right, exactly. So what you've just described is more of a controller approach to leadership. Like, this is my vision, you're all either on board or get out, and do it my way or the highway. And that really creates conflict, resentment, and resistance. When you can learn what it is that motivates the people that work with you, basically show them what is in there to benefit them, get them really invested in being part of the progress and part of the solution. When everyone feels like they are contributing to the greater good and they are also experiencing growth and development themselves, taking pride in what they're contributing to the shared vision, that's when you don't have to drag people. Everybody's going to move together.
And your client base, you're not local, you're sort of everywhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, I think it's really hard to only work locally. I'm sure there's probably people doing it, but I really enjoy meeting people from all over the place. So I do in-person live workshops, but the majority of the work I do is on Zoom, just because it's more convenient for busy people, and it fits into everybody's schedule. But
And a burnout sort of seems to be a global happening. It's not just one place or one country or one company.
That's very true. And burnout really is the end product of spending just too much time in negative emotions like resentment, frustration, feeling used, feeling unappreciated, whatever the narrative is that we take home with us at the end of the day, and then we fester and ruminate in that all night. You can't live that way indefinitely and not have it affect you. That is a huge, huge energy drain. And that's why it's so important to build a positive, uplifting experience at work, because it really bleeds into every other aspect of our lives.
So how can our listeners find you?
My website is nolimitscoachingnow.com, and right at the top of the page is a link to book a free 30-minute conversation with me. And I would love to connect with your listeners and see what I can do to help them.
Very good. So again, it's Natalie Fayman, Natalie, the last name Fayman. Find her on LinkedIn and also at nolimitscoachingnow.com. So thanks again, Natalie.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, our pleasure. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.